She thought she could tow his truck. But the moment he smiled, everyone froze. Karen Miller, the HOA president, stormed across the quiet suburban street, pointing at Marcus Grant's truck. "This is illegal." "Move it now," she screamed, her face red with anger. Marcus, a retired Army captain, stepped out calmly, holding his coffee like nothing could shake him. Neighbors peeked from behind fences, mouths open, as tension filled the air. The tow truck rumbled in the distance, but no one expected the secret Marcus was about to reveal. Before we dive into this unbelievable story, drop your city or country in the comments. I want to see how far this moment of justice travels. And if you believe calm authority and truth always triumph over arrogance and power, hit the like button and subscribe to Better Tomorrow Sunrise. Every story here proves that no one can silence the truth, and that real justice always finds its way. The morning sun shone gently over the suburban street, birds chirping as the quiet neighborhood went about its day. Marcus Grant, retired Army captain, had just parked his sleek black truck outside his home. He stepped out, sipping his coffee, the calm in his movements almost magnetic. Every step exuded confidence, a quiet authority earned from years of service and discipline. Across the street, Karen Miller, the HOA president, noticed Marcus's truck. Her eyes narrowed, lips curling in irritation. For years, Karen had enjoyed wielding power over her neighbors, enforcing petty rules with an iron fist. And now, here was Marcus, a man she had never had authority over, daring to park in what she considered her territory. "This is against HOA rules." "You can't park here," she shouted, marching toward Marcus with determination. Her heels clicked sharply against the pavement, echoing down the street. Some neighbors peeked through their blinds, others stepped cautiously onto their lawns. The tension was palpable. This wasn't going to be a casual morning argument. Marcus set down his coffee and calmly closed the truck door. He didn't raise his voice, didn't flinch, only looked at Karen with a composed smile. "Good morning, Karen," he said politely, his tone even, steady, and disarmingly calm. The contrast between her fury and his serenity made her hesitate for a moment, a pause she would soon regret. Karen's hand shot for her phone. "I'll call the tow company," she muttered, her voice trembling slightly with frustration. She had planned to humiliate Marcus, to show the neighborhood that she, Karen Miller, ruled these streets. Little did she know, Marcus's calm was the first hint that she was about to be completely outmatched. The distant rumble of a tow truck's engine added to the growing tension. Neighbors leaned forward, phones in hand, sensing that something monumental was about to happen. Everyone waited, unsure of what Marcus had planned, but already, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. The tow truck screeched to a stop in front of Marcus's driveway. Its bright yellow lights flashed, reflecting off the spotless hood of his black truck. Karen folded her arms, her expression dripping with satisfaction. She turned to the crowd that had begun to gather. "See? Rules are rules," she declared. "This neighborhood has standards, and if you can't follow them, your car goes." The tow driver, a heavy-set man with grease-stained hands, stepped out of the truck. He glanced at Marcus, then at Karen. "Ma'am, are you sure this is authorized?" Karen waved a stack of HOA papers in his face. "I'm the HOA president. You're authorized. Do your job." Marcus said nothing. He just watched. Calm. Composed. Almost too calm. The tow driver shrugged and began attaching chains to the front of Marcus's truck. The metallic clink of the hooks echoed through the neighborhood, cutting through the murmurs of the onlookers. Children stopped their bikes. Phones recorded every second. Karen smirked. "Next time, maybe read the HOA handbook before parking like that." Marcus finally spoke, his voice low, steady, the kind that makes everyone go quiet. "Karen," he said, "you sure you want to do this?" Her smile widened. "Oh, I'm very sure." He nodded once. "All right then. Proceed." The driver hesitated. Something about Marcus's confidence made him uneasy. Still, he started lifting the truck. But before he could finish, Marcus pulled out his phone, made one short call, and said just 3 words. "It's happening now." 30 seconds later, a second tow truck turned the corner, bigger, newer, cleaner, with the same company logo on the side. The driver stepped out, saw Marcus, and froze. "Captain Grant," he said respectfully. Karen blinked, confused. "Wait, you know him?" The new driver nodded. "Know him?" "He owns the company." Karen's face drained of color. The crowd gasped. The balance of power shifted instantly, and Marcus hadn't even raised his voice. The second tow truck driver walked straight toward Marcus and extended his hand. "Captain Grant, sir, didn't know you lived here now," he said respectfully. The crowd began whispering. Phones lifted higher. Even the first tow driver stepped back, eyes darting between the two men. Marcus smiled, still calm. "Morning, Jake. Appreciate you coming so quick." Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her earlier confidence vanished, replaced by confusion and rising panic. "Wait, what's going on here?" she demanded. Marcus turned toward her, still polite. "Karen, you wanted this truck towed, right? So I called my company, just to make sure it's done properly." The crowd chuckled. A few neighbors couldn't hold back their laughter. Karen's face flushed red. "Why, your company?" she stammered. Marcus nodded. "Yes. I'm the owner and founder of Grant Recovery and Logistics, the same company your HOA contracts for emergency towing." For a few seconds, silence hung in the air. The only sound was the low hum of the idling tow trucks. Then came the collective gasp from the neighbors. Phones zoomed in. Marcus turned to the first tow driver, the man Karen had ordered around. "You can unhook the chains now," he said gently. "You're not towing this vehicle today." The man nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." Karen tried to recover. This is an abuse of power," she shouted. Marcus met her gaze evenly. "No, Karen. This is what restraint looks like. You called a tow company to humiliate a veteran. I called one to remind you, respect isn't given, it's earned." A few neighbors clapped softly. Someone muttered, "Finally." Karen's hand trembled as she lowered her phone. Her voice cracked when she said, "I didn't know." Marcus interrupted gently, "You didn't care to." The tone was calm, not cruel, and that made it hit even harder. The crowd stood silent, phones still recording, but the energy had shifted completely. The woman who once barked orders was now trembling, unsure of where to look. Even the kids watching from their bikes could sense it. The power had flipped. Marcus stepped closer to Karen, his voice low but steady. "Karen, when I served in the army, I learned something. Power isn't about control. It's about responsibility. You don't shout to be respected, you act with it." Karen's eyes flickered downward. Her voice barely audible, she said, I didn't mean to disrespect you." Marcus gave a small nod. "Maybe not. But intent doesn't erase impact." He turned to the tow drivers. "Thanks, gentlemen. I'll handle it from here." The men nodded and began to leave. As the second truck drove off, the reflection of the American flag on its side gleamed across Marcus's driveway, a subtle reminder of his quiet strength. Neighbors started applauding. Some clapped softly, others nodded in quiet agreement. One elderly man shouted, "That's how you do it, Captain." Karen stood frozen, her authority stripped away not by shouting, but by grace. She finally whispered, "I'll make sure this never happens again." Marcus smiled faintly. That's all anyone needs to hear. He turned toward his truck, unlocked the door, and climbed inside. Before driving off, he looked once more at the stunned neighborhood and said, "Sometimes the best way to fight arrogance is to let truth tow it away." The truck rolled down the street, sunlight glinting off the hood, leaving behind silence, and a powerful lesson that everyone would remember. That morning, the neighborhood learned something priceless. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it simply parks calmly, waits, and lets the truth do its job.